Here we go, the solution to that key drawing app, and might as well just get to it. Okay, you should be bored with this right now. This all looks the same. This is all boilerplate code at this point. Okay, I told you many times with many examples. Okay, your start method has to establish the GUI, and the rest of this code makes sure the window displays the GUI properly. And the one complication with this GUI is that we're dealing with keystrokes, and those keystrokes need to be applied to a particular window, a particular pane. And that's why we needed to separate this from the, so we create the GUI, apply it to the scene, but we need access to that GUI element so that we can request focus. So take a look at the GUI. The GUI, most of our GUIs are going to be border panes. An app GUI is a border pane. Here's the constructor that initializes the pane. So here we create a drawing pane. So at this point, just picture that you have this palette or some canvas that you'll be able to draw on. We don't have to worry about it, but basically it's a pane. That pane contains a bunch of components. And there we go, we've got that. And the controls panel pane, which has got all the buttons. Take a look at the previous examples that we've talked about, like the traffic light. The traffic light this is similar. The traffic light has a bunch of 3 buttons on the bottom, and they control the way the pane that draws the traffic light gets printed. But in order for that pane, the controls buttons pane to work, it needs access to the drawing pane. You don't get something for free. You have to give it access to the drawing pane so that these buttons will have access to the methods that are available to that pane. And once you've got it, you set these panes to the drawing pane is the majority of the app, so we set it to the center, and we set the control panels to the bottom. The bottom is your control panels pane. And let's see, if this app GUI gets this message or request focus, or that gets that method called, then that method is going to tell the system to apply the focus to the keyboard, not keyboard, the key drawing pane, so that so any keystroke that you type on the keyboard will be processed by that pane. Let's close this. Thank you. So that you've seen that before. We've seen that a million times. So let's take a look. I guess the next easiest thing is the control buttons pane. And this looks pretty much like the code I showed you on how to properly deal with keys. Okay, this control buttons pane gets this keyboard pane. All right, we lay out, and a control buttons pane extends a horizontal box, which it is. You know those buttons are horizontally laid out. We have 3 buttons: clear, pen up, pen down, and on those actions, apparently we'll clear it. Anytime you touch a button, you really should give, well, sure, that button will do its thing. Here it does its thing, pen up, pen down on the keyboard, but you got to make sure that keyboard requests focus. So let's take a look. Let's take a look at this. Let's run this, by the way. Let's take a look. Run right here. Run this bad boy. Okay, there it is. I'm using my keystrokes now, my arrow keys. Make a nice little picture here. Up. Okay, nope. Now what I want to do is say pen up. Take a look at what we've got here. Little circle, that's your cursor. So now I can move my cursor anywhere I want. Now I want to start drawing. I'm using my arrow keys. Really, you should be using a mouse for this. But this is what struck me with the keystrokes, and there you go. You should probably have another button here that saves it or whatever. I didn't go crazy with this app, but that looks ugly. I'm going to clear it and start over again. Okay, so that's basically what you have here. Okay, that's what you have here. And by the way, some people ask me, why did I make this a local variable, and why did I make key drawing pane an attribute or a field of the GUI? The reason being is this is a local variable, and it's only being used to create an instance of a pane within this method, within the constructor, so I apply it there. It's not being used anywhere else. If you want to request focus, then I can't do this. Because if I did this, key drawing pane, okay, let me spell it right, key drawing pane. Okay, I can certainly do it. The problem is, let's get rid of this for now. The problem is that this method doesn't have access to another method's variables, and you know that. But if you want other methods to have access to fields that you create, you got to make them methods of the class. So let's go back to this. Let's go ahead and make this dot, and I think we're gonna be good to go. Okay, so that's good. Let me save that. Let me save that there. Save that. But that's basically it there. Key drawing. This is the workhorse. There it is. All right. Let's see. I take a look. These are these three variables represent the state of where the cursor is currently located. The cursor is currently located in by an X and Y coordinate, and whether the pen is down or up. Those are the three variables. It's that little circle. If I run it again, the X and Y represent, and this pen down being true represents that cursor. I'm going to move this around like this, move this, and then pen up. All right, that's the state of where the cursor is, the X, Y, and at this point, pen down is false because it's a hollow circle. Now, that's the state of the variables. Okay, you probably wouldn't have done this right off the bat, but it just seemed to me that cursor, which is basically a circle, needs to have some constants that define the radius. You know, the line. I want the line to be 3 pixels thick, something like that. You put on a little bit later, but those are going to be static. I don't want every instance of a drawing pane to have these values, because I could conceivably have like 5 drawing panes in my app. I don't know what that would look like, but you could have like 5 drawing panes. Each of those drawing panes should be consistent and have those values. That's why I made them static. But each of these things have to be unique. Each drawing pane should have its own X, its own Y. Don't make them static. Don't do that, because each of those panes should have their own X and Y position and the pen down. This is your constructor. There's your constructor right there. The constructor initializes the pane. And remember, what you got here extends pane. So there's no special layout to these components that you're going to put. Okay, it's going to have a bunch of children, and those children need to specify where they're located. Initially, X and Y is 100 by 100. The pen down is true, so you start drawing right away. The default size of the panel is that, because that's what just struck me, 300 by 350. And we got to make sure you initialize. You got to put something as one. You got to have at least one child in the pane, and that child will represent the cursor. Let me show you exactly what's happening. Let me go here with my paintbrush. Okay. We'll put that there. Let's move this down so you can see it. When you're drawing a line, okay, you got a 10 pixel line right there. Then another pixel line over here. That's not a very good line, but another pixel line. Every line segment you draw will be like a little line node. That's the 0th line node, the 1st line node, the 2nd line node. Let's make it go down here. 3rd line node, but you'll always have the cursor as the circle, which is the last element in your list of nodes. The idea is when you draw something, you're just creating line segments. And as you draw the line, you're adding that line segment to the list of children, but making sure that the last node is a circle, which represents the circle, which is the cursor. So let's kill that right now. I just kill this, quit the paintbrush. Don't save it, get rid of it. Okay. So right now, let's run it. Let's run it. Let's run it. There it is. There's no line segments. Okay. It's just 100 by 100 with a circle that's filled in, ready to draw. Okay. Now I'm gonna go ahead and add. That's one line segment, another line segment, 3 line segments, 4 line segments, 5 line segments. Okay. And it happens so fast. If I make pen up, really what's happening is I remove the very last filled in circle and then replace it with a hollow circle to give you the effect of, well, now I have a cursor that I can move around. Okay, so let's push this off to the side here. See what you got. Now all the magic that you see here. Oh, by the way, this is our initial cursor. We add it to the children. Fine. That's all. That's what gives you that initial dash. Okay. This is where all the magic occurs on key press. This is pretty much like the example I gave you, just a little bit more complicated. Okay. You don't want anything to happen. If I typed in A, B, C, D on the keyboard, I don't want it. I don't know what that app is. That key pane should just ignore those keys. The only keys that you should really worry about are up, down, right, left. That's what I'm doing here. So I'm just making sure that if anything were to happen, if you get those special keys, I'm going to do something. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to consume that. You've seen that. I don't want this keystroke to bubble up to the parent, and the parent decides to do something with that keystroke. I don't want that. I want to eat that event. Okay, so it's eaten. This guy right here, I gave you a little hint on this in the homework, this is a collection of children, a collection of line segments, the last one being the cursor. I want to remove one particular element. See, in this case I had like 5 or 6 different lines, a 7th line. The size of the children would be 7, minus 1 is 6. Remove the 6th element from the children. I don't want to clear it, because once you clear it, you lost all your line segments, and there's no way to get back those line segments. Okay, because I don't save the locations of anything. I just put line segments in my children, and I'm very careful just to remove the cursor. That's what that does. Okay, start off. This is the end point of our line segment. New X, new Y. And depending upon whether we go up, right, down, we change the new X and Y position to these values here. You can ferret that out. Now, the only time we want to draw any line segments is if the pen is down. If the pen is down, we create a line segment that this is the old position. This is the start X and Y of the line. The new X and Y is what gets established here. We have our segments. Set the stroke width to be, I guess it was 3 up top there, so you get a nice thick line. And just add it to the children. Once you add it, whether you add a line segment or not, update the position of the cursor. Okay, X and Y gives you these new values. And then what you want to do is build a new cursor that gets added to the end. That's the logic here. There's nothing, it's really straight. If you think about it a little bit, that's all you really need to do. Build cursor is nothing more than a nice little helper function that looks at the current state of the app. You're always building a circle. It always looks at the X and Y position of the pane. And the cursor radius is globally 5. Make it black, set the fill color depending upon if the pen is down, make the fill color black. Otherwise, make it transparent. You see, this color right here is transparent. It's whatever is underneath. And just return that cursor, and that cursor gets added to the children. Now let's take a look at these buttons. Now these methods are public because they need to be called by the buttons that are I'm almost, geez, I think I'm going to end the video here because I only have 15 minutes here. Okay, there's going to be a part 2 to this. So I'm going to end it right now. I'm ending I wish I had another couple of minutes, but let me end it now.